This conference will now be recorded.
Good evening. Yeah. Shall we start this session now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yeah. So today we will start with, we will have our session is a 9th session, and which is an integrated 8th session, sorry, is an integrated program management using end value management. This has got two parts. Today it's an will be a part one, which will be covering some half of end value management, and the second part, which will be day after tomorrow. Sorry, today is on a Thursday, right? Yeah. The second part will be on Monday, right? And I would request all of you to those who are attending a part one and also attend the part two, for a simple reason. Only then your EVM will be as a session, it will be complete. End value integrated program management through EVM. It's as a subject, it's a pretty very vast subject. 1 hour or 2 hours itself is too short for a session like for a subject like EVM. So what we will try to do in this case is we'll be trying to give you only a very basic understanding of an end value management, right? And yeah, so this session will be taken by myself, Shankar, and also by Bhagya Nair jointly. Mostly this session part one, I'll be handling it. Part two will be handled by Bhagya. Just to give a quick introduction, I'm the regional director of AACE International for the region 8, and I have my full-time employment. I work for a colleague group in Bangalore, and Bhagya is the secretary for AACE India Section, and she's currently working for Bangalore International Airport as an AGM projects in the real estate division. There is a lot of fuss about an EVM, and people say, oh, EVM is a big subject, it works, it doesn't work, it is complex, we understand, we don't understand, and all that. If you go closely and see what's, it's nothing but an third standard mathematics, nothing more than a third standard mathematics. So as an introduction, when I give you an end value, we'll be dealing whatever we have. We all need to go back to our school at a third standard, where I think we would have taught about an addition, subtraction, multiplication and division, right? That's what we are, it's all about. So now let's take an example of building up a small house. Let's start with this. So when we say, let's say when you're building a house, and let us say there are about 7 columns we need to erect in 2 months, and the budget for all that is about 84,000 rupees. It's a very, very simple problem we will take to explain the basics of EVM. So let us say on the 1st January 2020, you make a plan and you say that, in the first month I'll be erecting 5 columns, and second month I'll be erecting, let's say 2 columns, right? That's a plan. And in this case, each column, let us say, costs 12,000 rupees, right? So what is the plan? My plan for the first month, it's nothing but 5 multiplied 5 columns I'm erecting, multiplied by 12,000 rupees. It will be about 60,000 rupees. That is my plan for the first month. Say at the end of the month, let's say 31st of January, you have erected only in 3 columns, which is what we have planned for against 5 columns. So what is the the progress in terms of value of work completed. And the value of work completed is nothing but 3 columns multiplied by 12,000 rupees. That's 36,000 rupees what the value of work completed. But if you you record all your expenses, let's say you have hired some crane for 10,000 rupees and some diesel you have put for some 8,000 rupees. The cost of the column itself is about 25,000 rupees, and you have made some travel to pick up some material and all that. Let's say it's about 2,000 rupees. You call all the contractors, spend 1,000 rupees. You spend rent of 4,000 rupees. What you have noted down in your diary, right? Yeah. So the amount what we have just totally spent is about 50,000 rupees is what the money we have spent. So what is I mean in an EV term, how much we have planned? We have planned 60,000 rupees of a work. What we have accomplished, which is about 36,000 rupees of work. So what is the work which is, let's say, as a colloquially, if you need to say what's the value of work which is not done, 60,000 minus 36,000 is 24,000 rupees of the value, is what is the value of work which we have planned, which is not completed. How much we have spent? We have spent about 50,000 rupees. So how much we have overspent? See, we have for 3 columns, the value of the 3 columns is 36,000 rupees, with which we should have completed, but we have spent about 50,000 rupees. So we have overspent 14,000 rupees. So what does that mean? You have got a 24,000 worth of work to catch up on, but you have already overspent 14,000 rupees. So what does that mean? If you need to complete the remaining work within the allocated budget, right? Then for every 1 rupee spent, you need to get the value of work done further for 1.41 rupees value of work which need to be done. You need to get it completed. Whether it will be possible or not possible is it's a different thing, or how do you get it done is a different thing. But what does it indicate is right now for the remaining value of the work of 48,000 rupees in terms of a rupee term, you have you have only 34,000 rupees in your packet to spend. I request everybody to mute the mic. Yeah.
So there is some difference in the figures was there. 48,000 and all. I don't know from where it has come. Please check.
Sorry, I didn't get it. I think. See, I would suggest you need to. It's a work remaining is nothing but an 82,000 multiplied by 84,000 multiplied by minus 36,000. I think yeah, that is what is in 48,000 rupees, and 84,000 is your budget, and 40,000 you have spent. So it's about 34,000 is what is the amount remaining, right? Yeah. So yeah. Now next slide. Yeah. So in a either in EV terms, what we call it as a planned value, we need to know certain terms also when we are learning about end value. What we call it as a planned, it's called a PV, or a planned value, or budgeted cost of work scheduled. And what we have done as a completed, it's nothing but an earned value or budgeted cost of work performed. So earned value is nothing but the budget equivalent of the work performed. And the spent, what you say a spent is in EV terms is called AC, actual cost or actual cost of work performed. The work what we call it as a not done, that is a 24,000 rupees. That is a schedule variance. We have planned for 60, we have accomplished only 36. So the schedule variance is 24,000 in rupee terms or in dollar terms. And instead of what we call it as an overspent, that's nothing but a cost variance. So the Earned value is 36 minus 50,000 is the money which you have spent. So the cost variance is 14,000 rupees. Now, yeah, when let's look at it, when your budget is an 84,000 and a planned value is 60, EV is 36,000, actual cost is 50,000, schedule variance is 24,000, and cost variance is 14,000. With this, all the number, right? Only with these numbers, can we make any sense? And it is not really, will not be able to make any sense just by looking at these numbers. So we need to convert them into some measurement indicators or a performance measurement indicators through which we can make some sense out of it. So there are two important indicators which will be, which is there in an EV. One is about SPI, that's a schedule performance index. So schedule performance index is nothing but earned value divided by planned value. That is, for the month you have planned 60,000 and you have accomplished only 36,000. That's about earned only 36,000. So the SPI is 0.6. When you say a 0.6, in this case, the schedule efficiency is 0.6. Second is a cost performance index, CPI. CPI is nothing but an earned value divided by actual cost. So what is an earned value? 36, and what is an actual cost we have spent is about 50,000. So the cost efficiency is 0.72, or I mean the other way you call it as a 60% or a 72%. All right. Now, then when an SPI or a CPI, when it is the number is greater than 1, that is you have if the SPI is greater than 1, that means you have accomplished more than, or you have earned more than what you have planned, then it is a favorable indicator. Favorable. When CPI is less than 1, right, and then it is, I mean, anything is less than 1 is an unfavorable, right? That's how that's a sense what we can make out from the indicators. And it all has got its own limitations, right? I mean, that as we go, we will be looking at it. We are looking at only the fundamentals here. Now, the next term which we need to know is a TCPI, is a two complete performance index. What is two complete performance index? Having the budget remains same, right? And with what efficiency you need to execute to complete the remaining works within the available budget. So in this case, a work remaining is nothing but an a BAC. The budget is 84 minus 36 divided by, that is 48,000, divided by 84,000 minus actual cost of 50,000. That is 34,000, right? So that's 1.41. That means to complete the remaining work within the available budget, for every 1 rupee spent, I need to get a value of work performed at 1.41. Now, the next term is estimate at completion. So what is estimated completion? Yeah, estimated completion is at any point in time in a project, we need to look at it, how much, I mean, from today, right? When I look forward with whatever the historical data I'm having it, or EV data I'm having it, right, where the project is going to end. So this is a statistical projection. What you are looking at is EAC at a CPI, right? The cost, we are using a CPI as an indicator to project the estimated completion. So estimated completion is nothing but an actual cost, whatever you have spent, plus the remaining work divided by the cost efficiency. That is 50,000 is the cost of work performed, and the work remaining is 84,000 minus 36,000. That's the work remaining divided by 0.72. 0.72 is your cost performance indicator. So it means the project which you have planned at 84,000 rupees is going to end at 117,000 rupees. Now, this is a statistical projection of an estimated completion. There's another way of looking at it is then the bottom-up estimate. That is, I calculate whatever the remaining value of work, I just go to the last line item and sum up everything, and whatever the work remaining, I am calculating the cost which is remaining. Sorry. I calculate all the cost of the remaining work, and I'm doing a bottom-up estimate because the quantity might increase, decrease, and all. Right. Then I'm telling now, it's not, the project will be finishing at 48,000 rupees is what will be requiring to complete the remaining work. So that is a bottom-up estimate. Then what is an estimated completion with respect to a bottom-up estimate? Then you have spent about 50,000 rupees, and 48,000 rupees is your bottom-up estimate. So your estimate completion using bottom-up estimate is 98,000 rupees. So then what does that mean? Then in this case, right, my total cost of two complete performance index, that is my is equal to 1, right? That means for every 1 rupee spent from now, right? I mean, if I subject to I'm getting an 48,000 rupees additional, say, considering 98,000 rupees as the estimate at completion, right? Then for every 1 rupee spent, then I need to get a value of work performed of 1 rupee. And then what is a variance? Variance is budgeted completion minus estimated completion. So my budget is 84. My estimate is 98 now. So my variance at completion is minus 14,000. It means the project is overrun by 14,000 rupees. So these are all, if you look at it, is there anything great here? There is nothing great here. It is all mere third standard mathematics is whatever we have seen here. And if you have understood this, we have understood the fundamental of end value.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
Hello.
Can we have this question session at the end of the session, if you don't mind? Yeah. So I will. I'll go to the next slide. Right. So if you look at it in an end value as a graph, if I put it in a cost on a time scale, on a y-axis, and the time in the x-axis, and when I am mapping the cumulative cost, then there are the red color one is nothing but a planned value. This is a cumulative of planned value is nothing but a budget at completion, which is called BAC, right? And the one what you are seeing here in the green color, the bottom, right? That is nothing but your end value, right? And the think it's a blue color, blue line. It's the actual cost which you are you have spent. In this case, when you say a TN is nothing but a time now, let us say you are reviewing the project status in the month of June, and looking at the graph, what is the thing we can make sense? This point, what you are seeing here, it's a value of is a planned value. This is what you should have completed at this point in time, and how much work we have completed. This is a value of work which we have completed, right? This is nothing but an PV. This is EV. The difference between this is a schedule variance. And how much is the money I have spent? This is the money I have spent against my end value of this. So this is the cost variance. Yeah. Sorry. So that's a cost variance, right? And if I draw from my end value, I draw a straight line here, and where it is hitting your BCWS, that is a planned value cumulative curve, right? This gap is nothing but is schedule slip. That means the work what I have accomplished here, right, in June, I should have accomplished that work or completed the work somewhere between February and March. That's called the schedule slip. Now, we are also projecting, let us say it's a cost loaded schedule, and the schedule is projected. And, when you are projecting the cost, the blue color is what is the project is going to end, right? Then that is an estimate at completion. So the difference between BAC, budget to estimate, is the variance. And in the x-axis, right, the project should have completed in March. Now it is going to complete in June. That is the projected program delay. So that's how we can look at it from three graphs: the current status of the project, as well as when you project where the project is going to be ending. Now, what is EVM? EVM is nothing but it's not a rocket science, I said, and it's just a third standard mathematics. Having said that, why do we use an EVM? It's nothing but a program management tool, right? There are three aspects in a project. That's about it's a time, cost, and the performance, or the technical performance. These are all the three dimensions in a project, and it balances the measurement of time, cost, and technical performance. And these three dimensions, EV is giving you a single dimension, right? Then the whole focus is on what is budgeted vis-a-vis what is actual, right? The budget, it can be only in a dollar term, or it can also be in the budget as well as an actual measurement. It also could be in a manner or yeah. Now, if it is a contractual obligation, then the EV is legally binding. If you go to many contracts in United States, or in Canada, or in Australia, the government projects need to be mandatorily an EVM compliant, right? Or in US, it is an ANSI 748 compliant. It should be. In Australia, has got its own standard, which I don't remember. So if your contract specifies your monitoring system, or the method of planning, scheduling, and monitoring a project is through is an end value based system, right? Then it is a legally binding also. If I say at a X point in time, the project's earned value or a percentage of work performed is need to be X percentage or X value, right? Then it's legally binding. If you are not, then say maybe my partial damages or a partial, there can be a penalty and all that. And what an EV does finally, see, it gives only an early warning. If something is going wrong, you get to know are we on track? Is it everything is going right in terms of a time and cost? If there is any issue, this gives you an early warning saying that, look at it, there is a problem in the project. You please drill down and see where the issues are, right? Now, why an early warning is required? Yeah, this is one of the Department of Defense research of US, which says no program has ever improved their performance better than the performance at their 15% completion point. So that means a project which is not monitored and very rigorously in the initial part of the project, despite if you are in a contractor or you are a owner, whatever promise you give, and that is only project performance gets worsened. It's not it never improves, is only a false assurances. So this having a tool like an EV at every point in time in a project, one is it helps you to take a corrective action in a very early period of the project, as well as during the course of project if something is going wrong. at least we will know what is going wrong, where it is going wrong, where it is going wrong. So just I will touch on, give a brief introduction about the origin of end value management. See, a lot of people think that it is a latest technique, latest tool. This is an, this is a very high funda technique or that. If you go back and see the history of end value management, it's an very, very old. And it did not come from a capital projects industry. It is in fact the end value as a concept came from shop floor, and it is it's as late as in 1800 is what the concept of end value is started. So in an industrial engineering, there are three things: planned standard, earned standard, and actual cost. That is what is is been converted, or we have actually the projects industry has drawn inspiration from that. And for a recurring thing, when EV is used, it is the same thing is being used for a non-recurring developmental works like projects. So if you go back to see and very in the history where it is actually started, your end value. If you go and see, it's about in late 1950s to early 1960s. There is a system called a PERT cost, which is available in in US Navy has developed it, which has got 11 reporting formats. So one of the format is a value of work performed to cost of work report. That is the beginning of the modern end value management. Yeah. And in the early 60s, there is a system called a cost and or schedule control system criteria. This has been developed by US Air Force. There are about 65 criteria. They mostly developed it for an cost plus or even a cost reimbursable contracts. They have developed it, and which is adopted by many government agencies. And we started with the US Air Force. It has been adopted by all government agencies later. And finally, if you look at it, it was there as a system for monitoring and control of US government projects for 30 years. And over a period of time, it became very bureaucratic, and it became, there's a lot of resistance from the contractors, and also, private industry never adopted it, mainly because of the reason like it is only required for government projects. Then, in 1960 96, EIA, Electronics Industry Association in US, along with an NDAE, National Defense Industry Association, they have reviewed the entire cost schedule control system criteria, and finally they have come out with the current standard of an EIA 748, which is which is the called end value management systems standard, right? And this, I mean, if you go closely and see, it's nothing but the 35 criteria. They have removed the redundant criteria and they made it as a 32 criteria. And what happened also, in 2002 in US, and a Sarbanes-Oxley Act came in, which called for an transparency in all the publicly listed companies, financial transactions and all that, and also it is insisted for all the capital investment of all the public listed company also need to be reported. Then that after this, a lot of private companies also started adopting the concepts of or aligning themselves to a EIA 748. So that is how the EVM is became more popular in US, adopted by driven by US government, and also subsequently many developed countries government has got a standard. Either they are aligning to EIA or to an the standard like an Australian standards for EVMs. Now let us look at it when EVMs within a TCM framework. If I look at it, this Girish, when he has presented, about a TCM framework, he has just presented this. It's an under strategic asset implementation, right? If you look at, if you see, you have got a project planning, project control, plan implementation, project performance measurement, and project performance assessment. So EVM as it is in all these four. Now, when you say an EVM, we will, what are all these steps in EVM? See, EVM, when you say EVM or EVMS, end value management system, it is not about some 3-4 indicators, whatever I have, introduced to you. It is not just restricted to some few terminologies like a PV, EV, actual cost, CPI, SPI, or TCPI, schedule variance, cost variance. EVM is not restricted to this 3-4 formula. It is about an integrated approach towards project structuring a project, planning and scheduling a project, monitoring and controlling the project, reporting, and also handling the changes. So that is what is when you say an EVMS or integrated EVMS, it is a complete system. It is not just 3-4 formulas. Now, there are only two major things in an EVM application. First, establishing a performance measurement baseline. The second is measure and analyze the performance against the baseline. That is, you set up the planning standard for the project or a program. And second, you please measure the performance against the planning standard, what you have set for the project or a program, and analyze the performance. That's all. Now, the first is when you say and establish the program measurement baseline, then there are certain steps in establishing performance measurement baseline. What is that? What first is it has been adopted from PMI's practice standards. I've just given these 10 steps and is adopted from there. Sorry, we have missed to give the credit here. We will be correcting. So first is about decompose the work to a manageable level. That's the first thing. Then once the entire work is decomposed to a manageable level, then it's about assigning an unambiguous responsibility for the work. The third is about developing a time-phased budget for each task. That is, for all the tasks identified in the project, attach a budget to it and put it on a time scale. Right, that it's nothing but a cost to a schedule. That's what it is in a simple term to say that. The next is please select an earned value measurement technique for all tasks. So there are quite a few methods which will be covering it. If we are not able to covering it today, then we will be covering it in the next session, right? And the next is maintain the integrity of the PMB, performance measurement baseline, throughout the project. That means once the PMB is set, the PMB is not changed till the end of the project, or you can change the PMB, right, subject to certain conditions, criteria, and all that. But there is a process for changing even a performance or the conditions for performance changing the performance measurement baseline. When you say measure and analyze the work against the baseline PMB, then what is that? It's about you record the resource usage during the project execution. Second, we have set up the EV measurement technique, and you please follow and measure, objectively measure the physical progress, not like some thumb rule sort of a measurement. It should be a very objective type of measurement for a physical work. Then credit the end value according to the end value technique. There are, whatever the technique you have chosen for the an activity, the same technique you need to adopt it when you are measuring it. Then and analyze and forecast cost as well as schedule. Then last is report if there is any performance problem and not taken action. So a simple integrated EVM is nothing but aligning your entire project or even an organizations to these 10 simple steps, right? But it is easily said. It has got a lot of challenges, right? Yeah. Now, when you say an the first thing when I say is a decompose the work scope to a manageable level. So what it is, decomposing the work scope is nothing but it's a structuring a project. It is nothing but developing a work breakdown structure, where the entire project scope is mapped. So you have been taught about how do WBS in the earlier session, so I will not go so deeply into it. I mean, just to touch upon what is a WBS is nothing but an hierarchical decomposition of the project scope. It is nothing but on a backbone of the project planning and management. So the entire project scope, right, it's mapped into the WBS so that when you are rolling up the cost, rolling up the schedule, right, there is an consistency, and also at a various WBS elements level, you will be able to assign a person to handle work. Now, this is a typical example, probably in a planning and scheduling session also has been shown to all of you. This is nothing but what we call it as a function-oriented WBS. You might have a product-oriented WBS or a function-oriented WBS or an object-oriented, or a logic-oriented WBS. These are all the three, few types of an WBS structure. And generally for any project, it's not like there's no one good solution thing. It will be a mixture of an function and an object-oriented or a product-oriented WBS, right? Yeah. Now, then the second is about an organization breakdown structure, which is also when you have decomposed the work. The next is about assigning an unambiguous responsibility, right? How do you assign an unambiguous responsibility? Every project will have an organization chart for the project. So what is an OBS? OBS is nothing but it's a hierarchical decomposition of the person who are going to handle the work, or the project personnel who are going to handle a particular work, and shown in a hierarchical manner, right? There are different types of org structures are there. Org structure could be a functional or it could be a matrix structure, or it could be a pure or projectized structure. So which is a right structure, which is a wrong structure is not a discussion here, but it depends on the the company and what is its main business. Also plays a lot of role in choosing which type of OBS an organization should have it which executes or delivers a capital projects. Now, the second is, how do you do when you say an assign an unambiguous management responsibility, it's nothing but a creation of a responsibility assignment matrix. That's what we call it as a RAM. What is a responsibility assignment matrix? A RAM is nothing but a work breakdown structure's lowest element is assigned. It's an intersection of OBS, WBS. This is a WBS, and this is an OBS. And RAM is nothing but an intersection of the lowest level of a WBS and OBS. That is nothing but the work is assigned to a particular person, right? And that's what is in and RAM is all about. So every WBS structure element need to be assigned to a person, or a person in an organization structure. So that means no person is left without a job, and every job or every work has got an assigned person. So there are certain rules, like only one person is assigned to one WBS element can be assigned to only one person, whereas a person can be assigned to can handle a multiple WBS, right? Yeah. So this is what is an responsibility assignment matrix is all about, right? So the two steps we have touched. The third is about develop a time-phased budget for each work task. What is like this is nothing but developing an integrated master schedule, or which will is eventually it will be a CPM schedule. It is a critical path schedule. So CPM or a critical path schedule or an integrated master schedule, right? That's what I would put it. Say it is a very important component in the project. So I mean, what is a CPM schedule and what it is not? It's all been already handled in planning and scheduling module, right? Yeah. So I will not touch much much about a critical path schedule here. So when you say an integrated master schedule, this has also been touched in the earlier section. Just to quickly touch up, to say you have got a project milestone where there is a summary schedule and you have got a complete what do you call a summary schedule to control accounts to one work package and to an to the detailed schedule. So in developing an IMS, it's not an one planner sits in a corner and develops the IMS. It's not possible. It requires an input from a lot of things, from a scope of work, from an WBS and your system engineering practices, or your technical performance measurement, risks, budget, base of estimate. All are the input required to develop an IMS, and which we have given an introduction about that in our earlier sessions. And also an integrated master schedule by itself alone will not do everything, and it also need to be connected. I mean, it need to be connected both externally also. There will be a lot of companies or subcontractors need to be hooked into that. So that is one, and also an EVMs need to be connected to an risk engine. It also need to be connected to your ERP and production and material management system and of an organization, and it need to be connected to an EVMs engine, right? And also that EVMs engine need to be connected to one financial accounting system. And when you say the complete IMS integrated program management, it is when everything is in place and it's what we can call it as a completely integrated program management. Now, yeah, there is a step. It's no organization can achieve this maturity overnight. There is a steps in that. Now, when I say the next is about development of a performance measurement baseline. So what is a performance measurement baseline? So yeah, performance measurement baseline, to put it in a very simple term, there are a few baselines for a project, which will be another. You will have a scope baseline, and you will have a schedule baseline, and you will have a cost baseline. So integration of all or sum of all, or in the other way, if you in a simple language, if you need to put it, is nothing but a PMB or a performance measurement baseline. In a performance measurement baseline is nothing but an assignment of a budget to the work scope. I mean, if you see this graph, you have seen it earlier. It's nothing but an dollar or a rupee. I mean, the money in y-axis and time in x-axis, and what we call it as a budgeted cost of work schedule. If you look at it, that's nothing but the PMB. There's nothing but a performance measurement baseline. Now, there are quite a few terminologies also one should know when we speak about a performance measurement baseline. That is, if I, this I am taking and adopting it from EIA 748 directly. We see. I cannot explain everything in this 1 hour about about a PMB, right? Or the budget hierarchy, right? It's only an introduction. There are two things. One, you can go and study on your own, and the second is our AACE India section is also conducting 1 day or 2 days workshop on integrated program management using EVM, right? And there you will have an the entire thing will be discussed in so detail. Now, in a budget hierarchy, it is for a typically for an it's a cost plus contracts. But the same thing could be applied for even for any type of contract, and even for a remeasurable item rate contract, right? So there is a contract target price, and which has got two things. One is a CBB, contract budget base, and also a fee, a target fee. All right. And on the contract budget base, there is it has got two components. One is about a PMB, performance measurement baseline, and a management reserve. So under performance measurement baseline, you've got a control account budget, summary level planning packages, and undistributed budget. What is a control account budget? One thing which I have missed when I was introducing to you about an RAM, responsibility assignment matrix. When I say the intersection of the WBS and the OBS is called control account. So control account is nothing but the management point or the management focal point for planning and performance measurement, right? So see, I mean, you will keep getting a, I mean, if you are studying EVM, you will keep reading about CAM. That's a control account manager, or a control account, and CAM is a control account manager, right? So what is it's a control account? It's not, I mean, as we discussed, nothing but an intersection of an EVM person and then OBS and then WBS, right? So the summary of all the control account budgets is plus there's another term called summary level planning package, right? I would also, again, it's only an introduction to all of you. I mean, we can have a separate 2-day session on an EVM is where we will be able to explain. But the guys who are knowing EVM only as an 4-5 formula can go and read more. So that's why we are just touching this, right? So PMB has got 3 components: control account budget, summary level planning package. The third is about undistributed budget. Yeah. So what is a control account budget? Control account budget is nothing but under control account there are 2 things. We have got a third thing called a work package and a planning package. So what is a work package? Is nothing but a work which is defined for the near term is a work package. So even in the near term, packages where the work is not fully defined, that is called a planning package. For a simple example to say, let us say in a civil construction, where your work packages, you got a civil, electrical, so many things as an work packages you are having it, right? Let us say in the beginning of the project where you are tendering it out only when your civil contractor is on board. They say, your facade is not defined. So the facade, when I am defining a facade will not be completely detailed it out, but it will be called as a planning package, right? And let's say at the very beginning of the project where there is an landscape is not even defined at all. Yes, you know that you is going to come in a project, but we have not defined the landscape or hardscape at all at the very beginning of the project. Those things will be, the budgets will be kept under what is called a summary level planning package. Yeah, what is UB? We'll leave it for the time being. Then we'll probably discuss with you later. Now, this is what is a general budget hierarchy, which everyone should slightly know if you need to handle an completely an EV based planning monitoring of project, right? I'm extremely sorry that in such a short time I will not be able to explain too much. Even if you have not understood this, doesn't matter. I would say you please go back and read more about this. Now, next. Yeah, so there are quite a few end value measurement techniques. So what are all the EV measurement techniques? There are 3 types of measurement techniques. One is about a discrete, second is an apportioned, third is a level of effort method. These are all the 3 types of end value measurement methods, right? And what are all this we'll be seeing in the subsequent slides. Selecting an appropriate end value techniques is very crucial for an EV reporting. And when whatever the EV technique you are choosing, that should be the technique should be chosen at that time before even you are finalizing the PMB. And when for every task, whatever the method you are choosing, whether it be that is falls under a discrete method or an apportion method or a level of effort method, should be decided at that point in time of planning itself. And the same way it need to be reported also, right? So that's what EV techniques that are selected and consistent with the way the work is performed. And quickly to touch upon, what are all the techniques when I say it's a discrete method techniques, right? There are under the discrete method, there are 5 different types of techniques are there. One is about a fixed formula. Second is milestone technique, percentage complete, milestone with percentage complete, and equivalent or actual units complete. Today we might touch only 1 or 2 percentage formula, fixed formula and milestone techniques, and the remaining we will be keeping it for the next session, right? And what is this what is a fixed formula? In a fixed formula generally used for a very short term activities, which are about spanning what is written as a spanning 1 or 2 accounting period. That means in a smaller project it may be about 10 days, 15 days or 20 days activities could be in a fixed formula, or in a very large projects it could be even in 1 or 2 months, right? So it's a simple example of where the fixed formula will be used, and what I use personally fixed formulas, and especially in a procurement, say procurement of any what do you call, whether it is in a goods or even in a services, there are fixed defined stages. And let's say like the steps are on one let us say an intent issue, right, or a receipt of intent, I would say. Then you are sending an inquiry, and then you are receiving an offer, and a technical evaluation of that, and a commercial evaluation of the offers which is received. Then once all done, you do a negotiation and you prepare an internal note and get it approved, right? And then you are issuing an an order to the contractor. Then you make payment, down payment, or an LC, or even an advances. And this is some, let us say, good tax, right? That's a very, very simple example which I'm taking. Here, when you are receiving an indent, then you say as market is 100, right? Or when you are, inquiry is sent, either it is sent or not sent, so 0, 100. And receipt of offers, right? When an offer is, completely received, you can say it's again 0, 100. Or, you can even make it as a 50, 50. I mean, 50 started receiving offers, when 100 is received all the offers. Then a technical evaluation, when you are beginning the technical evaluation, that is 25%, or when you have completed the technical evaluation, let's say 75%. Right? This is a simple example of a fixed formula. The advantages is a simple and very, very minimal effort is required, but only on disadvantages is when you are planned in this way, cost loaded a schedule in within the same percentage for all the steps, and if you need to measure, if there is there could be a false variance if there may be few activities where there be many in progress activities, and if you are in the fixed formula for the activities which are in progress, it will not credit the progress. So in that case, what is actually earned in the work happened on the ground to the earned value, there may be a gap, right? So it might start throwing certain false variances. And the next is about a milestone technique. Sorry, it's not right. Yeah. Next is about a milestone technique. This is one of the very, very famous and technique. In fact, you accomplish a milestone, you get your payment, or the progress, the credit for the progress is taken, right? And mostly many clients might prefer this this method. for crediting the progress. Right now, this is an example from one of the project where a project is there are many milestones which has been defined for a project. Let's say an RCC structure. Here, the simple definition is about how many slabs are there, total slabs, how many you have planned for that month, and how much you have been achieved in that month. In this case, if you look at it, 16 I have planned for this, say, let us say a tower H, and out of that I have achieved 11. So the it is, I mean, only we have completed the slab. Half completed slab will not get a progress here, right? So this is what is a simple example of a milestone technique. Right. This is an example, simple example of a milestone technique. So with this, we will close the session today, and the remaining thing of a percentage complete, milestone with percentage complete, and the next is equivalent or an actual units complete, and an apportioned effort as well as a level of effort techniques we will be touching in the next session. Yeah, with this, I'll be closing today's session. Right? Yeah, these are all the reference materials which have been used for both the session 1 as well as the session 2. Right? And there are also university also offering certain certifications for which is called a EVP, End-Value Professional Certification. Right? If there are any questions, I can take the questions now.
Hello, sir. Hello.
Hello, sir. Hello.
This is Anand here. I have one question. It's a wonderful. Hello. Hello.
Hello, this is Avinash Tandon. Hello. Hello. Hello.
Avinash,
Yeah,
please go ahead.
Yes. Yes. In all construction projects, the quantities are estimated. And during the progress of work, the quantities go on changing. Some quantities increase it. Maybe some in final, some changes are there. Do your system accommodates such kind of changes for EVM?
Yes, it can. Yeah, your percentage complete technique, right? In that we can accommodate that, and there are methods. It could be done. And we have been, I mean, in my organization, we have been practicing, EVM for a remeasurable contract, where your tender is based on a tender quantity, right? Based on which the contractor's baseline will be set for him. And, when you are actually getting the drawings and when you are executing, the quantities increase, decrease, those things have been taken care properly to assess the actual percentage progress and what is an EV, right? To estimate EV also. It's a bit complex thing, but it could be done.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
This is Abbas.
Yeah, Shabas. Yeah.
Yeah. My question is, EVM, instead of measuring in the cost, we can measure in terms of man hours achieved against plan or quantities progress against total quantities.
See, man hours is a normalizing factor. Right? There are two normalizing factors according to me. One is money, right, rupee, and second is an man hours. Right? And I mean, when you are using a man hours, hello, yeah. So I think I suggest to mute the yeah. Hello, yeah. So, there are only, two ways of measuring a progress. One is in, normalizing the progress, right? One is in either in terms of rupee terms or a dollar terms or money terms. The second is in terms of a manas. See, with respect to the quantity, when you, for an measurement of an activity at a lower level, it will be possible. So let us say one activity, let us say flooring in an apartment, right, which might comprise what do you call laying of an marble or a tile or a skirting, let's say. So if a marble is in a square meter and a tile is in a running, running meter or running feet, right, then when you are measuring the progress, there are two different units. So how do you normalize that? So there is a, if you convert those both the things in a money term, yes, that's a normalizing factor. You can measure everything in terms of money, or you can put it as in a man hours, right? Man hours to required to lay the marble, or to fix in a floor, or if you have to fix the skirting. So these two are the normalizing, the thing. Quantity is not in all the, you can use it at the level below, but that's not, will solve all your this thing. Or we can have a separate discussion on that. I mean,
Hello, sir.
No,
yeah,
hello.
Hello.
yeah.
Sir, my
Please,
question is now, nowadays we have a lot of software regarding project to be completed at the time. Which are the best software we can use in our EPC projects, heavy projects?
see, I mean, as such as a neutral professional body, we don't recommend any what do you call there are quite a few softwares. I mean, we don't say this is a good software and bad software and all. See, it's like this. You might have even the greatest, biggest software, but if we don't understand the fundamentals, then what happens is about a garbage in, garbage out. I mean, you give an input and a software throws an output, and whether the output, whatever it is showing is in the right thing or not, you will not be able to judge it. Right. I would rather suggest more than concentrating on a software. Right. It's about concentrating on fundamentals and understanding the fundamentals very clearly. And you use any tool. I mean, it'll work. And in fact, if you ask me, what the way we start in our organization before adopting is a very sophisticated tools, simple Microsoft project for a time schedule and schedule, and then spreadsheet, Microsoft Excel. That's all. So for 2 years, we kept the entire EVM system. People used to work with in this tool only, so that they understand very clearly how the entire system, the EVS system works. Then when you have adopted a software, you actually then you will know when it is showing you a result, whether the result is right or wrong. If it is showing a wrong result or a different result, right? What is the reason? Also, you will be able to understand. Otherwise, software nowadays the softwares are pretty complex. That's. I mean, I hope I have answered.
So this is Anand
So,
here. My
Yeah.
question is, this EVM method, see nowadays most of the projects are done along with the BIM, building information modeling, and also the project has been monitored in BIM also. Can we integrate this EVM methodology in the BIM? I'm an architect actually. I'm not. Also, I'm a civil engineer. I just have a curiosity whether it's a very interesting. So that because most of a project when we do, every bit of a level what you explained, is there any possibility or can we integrate this EVM
Yeah,
system in
so
the
it's
BIM?
all possible. There are a few plugins or tools are there, and yeah, it is possible.
yeah,
So
sorry, sir, I am speaking.
the progress of the project also we can monitor at the site level.
Pardon?
See, for example, if suppose if it's a 15-20 story project is going, and in the BIM also, can we integrate something like mobile application where at site level they'll monitor the everyday they update once they update
Yeah,
the
many, I think
staff
there are
year
plenty
or
of
the
things
column number?
available. Probably, yeah, I think we
Can
can
we
send you an, send an email. We can, introduce you to some of the tools. We will not recommend any tools, but we can say that hey, these are all things available. It's up to you to choose it. Yeah.
But is there any project references which has been done such level actually?
I think, yeah, we will, you put your questions in the, to admin at AAC or fill the form. We'll answer all that.
Yeah.
No problem. We can give you
Okay.
some examples.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Shankar, I want to ask one question, very simple one.
Yeah.
For example, we are talking about cost. Normally, we don't share cost with the customer. So, is it okay to share this earned value with the customer? Because then there are questions about, you're earning this much profit, GP, and other things and all.
See,
So how do you
your
share the
system
cost?
could be entirely, your entire earned value system could be completely based on your, contract price itself, right? You need not share your actual cost to the, you can use it for yourself. And you need not open it up and show to your clients, right? Why should you open it up and show to
because we have to measure the milestones, or we have to show the progress based on the earned value. So do we need to share the cost or the costing details of the each and everything?
I mean, you need not, unless there is a cost plus contract, it need not be, right?
Okay, so only the output can be shared, not the details of it, right?
Sorry, come again?
What I'm saying is, because you have to measure the progress also and share with the customer because based on which you will make the payments, we should share only the output. We should not share the calculations, right?
See, I mean, if you can load your complete contract price, right? For you as a contractor, I understand you are a contractor. For you, the entire scope is related to what? It is completely related to your, whatever your selling price there, right? That's what a client will be interested. Out of this, how much you have, you have earned, right? And where the project is going to get completed. What will be an estimated completion for the project, because the quantity will increase, decrease, and all that. Only to that extent you should open it up, and I don't think you should not open up everything. I mean, if you are a contractor and you are ready to open up, and I'm a client, I'll be happy.
Exactly. So then the transparency is not there. I mean to say the transparency factor will lead to other problems, right?
Hello? No, it's again, it depends on which side of the table you are in and what you how do you want to use this tool, right? I mean, see, the transparency in your case will be what, or for a client, the transparency for him is what is supposed to be performed till now, and where you are, and where the project is going to end when you project it, and how much at what cost it is going to be completed. That is what the things you need to know. You need not know your books. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Hello.
Yeah. Anything else, sir? Otherwise, we can reserve some of the questions for the next session also.
Sir, good evening. Shobit here. I have one small question.
Yeah.
Sir, one thing, in general, if we are representing any developer or any PMC, we often pay contractor after the work is completed, or we often pay to the contractor equivalent amount of the work which is completed. We never pay him more. So in that case, our actual cost will never exceed the earned value or planned value in that case.
It's like this. Your EV is not connected to your payment or your billing, rather. I won't say payment, is not connected to the billing.
Okay.
Sorry, can you ask your question again? Sorry. Your
But then what
actual
will be
cost
the
is more than a planned value.
then actual cost will never be more than the planned value. So if a vendor or contractor was supposed to cast say 10 columns, and if he has casted 8, we'll pay him only 8. We'll never pay him more. So actual cost can, like in your case, the actual cost went higher than the planned value, the example which you showed.
That you are looking at from an owner point of view, right? If there
Yes.
is an 8 column is your budget, let us say your budgeted is 8 column, right? When you are actually going to execute the 8, because of the design, it became 12 column, right? Then what is your, there is a cost increase, right? This in the, when out of the 12 column, if you are executing, let us say 6 columns, then your percentage progress is how much? Percentage progress is 50%. But the cost, if you look at it, it will be more. Per column, it's a. Let me assume there is a every column has got a same cost, right? So 8 columns multiplied by 1,000. Let us say it will be 8,000 will be your budget. The moment it becomes an 12 columns, right? Against the budget of 8,000, your estimated completion will become 12,000, right? When you are making 50% progress, right, then your actual cost in this case will be about say 6,000, 6 multiplied by 1,000, whereas your end value would be 4 multiplied by 1,000. That will be an 4,000, right? So there will be a difference. I mean, I have confused you enough.
Nothing.
So,
Thanks for the explanation.
Hello.
Sir, hello.
Crack this, right?
Sir,
I mean, you
this is
have
Vasu
understood your
here.
completely. Yeah.
Sir, Vansa here.
Yeah, this is the last question we will take. Yeah, it's 9.
Sir, this is Vasu here.
Yeah,
Hello.
yeah.
Sir, actually, there are two methods in calculating EVM now, sir. One is using monetary terms and other is using man hours. Which method you will suggest, sir? Which is better compared to
Then I
each other?
see it has got a lot of things. It all depends on your, your organization, how they wanted to measure the thing. If you look at it in, when many, as in our organization, we use an cost, to monitor, because we are project owners. If you look at a company like Toyo's entire system is in, their measurement is in man hours, right? It depends. I mean, if you are if you are a owner and try to measure the entire thing in a man hours, it will not be possible. We will not have that database the way a contractor will be having it, right? So I always use an cost, right? So far, it depends.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Anything else? Otherwise, we'll meet on Monday. Yeah.